Hey everybody, Andrew Fantasia here. Quick note before we get the episode started. This episode of Infinity Rewatch, we were obviously very excited for it, so it became gargantuan. It became an epic episode, very Nolan-esque in its runtime, and therefore we decided to split it into two parts to make them a little bit easier to digest for all of you. So this is part one, and you'll notice the episode ends somewhat abruptly, but don't worry, part two, computer willing, will come out tomorrow. So enjoy part one of our Infinity Rewatch Dreamcasting episode. Now on with the show.
Guys, it's Infinity Rewatch. Oh my god, we're here.
Oh my god. We're here. Another episode. I don't even know what number it is. I don't care.
It's number 3. I don't know. That's a lie. It's a number. It's a number. But what matters is this is a nice little transition point because we just finished, if I remember right, based on what's come out, we finished phase 1. Before we get into phase 2 in the show, we're gonna rock your effing world.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
What this is. That's what this is. Now, Ryan, tell the good people what we're about to do.
So I'm so excited today. So Andrew and I here at Infinity Rewatch, we've been watching the Marvel series. We've been taking a little bit of a hiatus just because of the current circumstances. However, Fantasia came up with the wonderful idea that it would be fun, and we talked about it on a podcast. So now you're gonna have to go back and listen to it, find out which one. But we talked about it, and we're trying to talk about our dream casting because there's been a lot of Marvel announcements about, rumors and speculation. And now, this week, at the time this is being filmed, Marvel's going to do their big San Diego Comic-Con annual announcement day, Hall H Day. So we thought it was perfect timing to do our own fan casting of Marvel characters in the cinematic universe.
Yeah, man, we wanted to beat them to the punch. And I forgot all about San Diego Comic-Con until Ryan reminded me of it the other day. And I was like, okay, so we definitely want to beat them to the punch now. Because with our luck, they would be like, here's some casting news. And then all of our predictions no longer become predictions. They just become copying what Kevin Feige just said. So we're going to beat you to it, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
And it's been nice. Like, you're right. It's been a long hiatus, and it sucks because it's usually like we have a very intimate show. We sit on the couch together. We feed each other pudding. It's all, it's a real close-knit environment, and we can't obviously do that these days. So the hiatus has been longer than we'd like, but we definitely wanted this dream casting to come out as soon as possible because we've been salivating for months.
Oh, yeah.
Over this list. So we kind of went by the rules where it's like, obviously we're pitching characters who are not yet in the MCU, being played by actors who have not yet appeared in the MCU. And I ended up with, I know we discussed numbers before, Ryan, and I know you had a lot of great ideas, Cook, and I ended up with 20. That was my total for the number of casting choices.
Yes, that's correct.
What about you?
I got 20 as well. So we're both in the same page. I don't know if we have the same 20, but we're gonna rock and roll with it.
Now, I want to actually make a little side bet here. I got a little piece of paper going. I'm making a side bet that I want us to do. First of all, how many of the same characters do you think we'll have, like, out of 20? Like, how many times will we each have the same character on our list? Not actor, character.
Okay, so how many characters will we have in common? Okay, is this like Price is Right, where we're like, if I'm the closest but not over?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna say a solid 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, I'm gonna put down 10 for you. I think 10 is a good close estimate. I feel like there are characters that that I don't know, so there's going to be a bit of a discrepancy there. I think that I'm going to say 11.
Ooh, wow! You're just going to go one up on me? That's total Price is Right strategy.
Now this one is the actors. How many matching actors?
Oh God.
Do you think we will get?
Oh man, I'm not going to be as confident on this one. I'm going to say a healthy 5. I'm going to go half of 10. And now you're going to go 5 and 50 cents.
501, Bob. You know what? I'm gonna go 2.
Oh.
I'm gonna go 2. I think we have a very diverse, different list going on here. And I also I did this a few times. I don't know if you did this, but I gender swapped some characters too because I wanted to play around with a couple people.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
There's a few Marvel dudes who became Marvel dudettes.
Interesting.
On my list.
Okay.
But all right, let's start.
Let's do it.
So
are we rock paper scissoring or like?
Yeah, we'll rock paper scissors for who goes first. If you have a Sega Dreamcast, and if you're listening at home, just put it on your lap because we are Dreamcasting in a sense, and it's kind of like you're channeling us through it. So just put it on your lap while you listen. And if you don't, you're a loser. I'm just kidding. You're not a loser.
I love it.
But all right, ready? We're gonna rock paper scissors, and I hope the delay's not crazy. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Rock paper scissors. What did you get?
Oh, sorry, I was holding it up too low, but you won.
All right.
Okay.
I'm excited. Oh, man. Okay, I don't know. Oh, man, I don't know where to start. I think I'll just start with... Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys right now, our Infinity Rewatch viewers and listeners, I'm going to tell you right now, this is like no ranking order, like number 10 and number 1.
Yeah.
This is just me. I'm going to throw out a hero, and I'm going to go... I'm probably just going to start at the top of my list and just work my way down.
That's what I'm going to do too. I just wrote the characters' names in alphabetical order, so that's how I'm going.
So the first person I thought about was Moon Knight because we haven't announced who's playing Moon Knight yet. So I picked, and I apologize if I get this actor's name wrong, Oded Fehr. I think he's such a great character. You'll probably remember him from his role in The Mummy. As the Magi character. I think he's just got the tone, the build. He was also in Burn Notice. He played a pretty slick gangster. So I think he's got this really good range that's not been explored enough yet. And I really want to see him push that character actor tone. But when things get serious, I think this character can really deliver a very stoic yet damaged character, because Moon Knight has multiple personalities, but one of them is like he's like a Marine, and then when he's in full Moon Knight mode and like vigilante mode, he's supposed to be like a Marvel's version of Batman. So I think that Oded would be a really fun actor to see him play the character of Moon Knight.
He's the guy from The Mummy who leads that group of people who are like protecting the tomb, right? And they have like the scimitars and stuff. He's that dude?
Yeah, the Magi guy, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's cool. He was one of the best parts of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. And I did not have Moon Knight on my list. I tried.
Oh!
Yeah, I had a character, I had an actor rather, down as Moon Knight. And then what I did was, I slid that actor into a different slot for a different character, and I'm like, I like this better. So I took Moon Knight off the list and did that. But that's cool. So we got Moon Knight. I like that. I like that a lot. Oded Fehr. I think that is the way to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Wow, good call. We're off to a good start already. I already want to see this Moon Knight show.
Yeah, right? Now, okay, but before you jump into it though, so Moon Knight, if you watch a lot of Marvel stuff, whether it be on YouTube and just all sorts of sources, everyone will talk about Moon Knight had like a resurgence in the comic books. There was a issue that was released that really captured how dark and twisted Moon Knight is, and I think that if Marvel goes for that, we're going to see a really interesting version of what Marvel's going for in terms of offering us variety. And I think it's smart because Marvel talked about how Doctor Strange, now we have Sam Raimi as the director of Doctor Strange 2, which I'm super stoked for, because if you ever see Darkman, he does a really cool kind of dark, twisted comic book movie. And I love that Marvel's going to try doing a horror film, and I think Sam Raimi is a perfect person to make it feel comic booky but still have that dark element to it. So Moon Knight, I think, is going to have that same thing. I think we're going to see a really dark, gritty, yet really interesting character profile of like a person who has like multiple personality disorder. So I really can't wait to see something like that.
I think I remember that comic run you're talking about. It came out around the time we met. It came out in like 2007, because I remember that was when I was buying Wizard magazine. And at that time, they were raving about this Moon Knight run.
Yes.
So it must have been that same one. If I can't remember the writer's name, but yeah, he did something really cool with Moon Knight. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that would be what they draw from. Great pick.
Yeah.
All right. So for my first one, the character I started with, because he's alphabetically, was Doctor Doom.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So do you have a Doctor Doom on your list?
I do, actually. Yes.
All right.
I
So
do.
that's one character you got in common. Now with Doctor Doom, those early Fantastic Four movies, the Tim Story ones, they've got their share of troubles. For me, one of those biggest troubles was the way they showed Doctor Doom. Frankly, just like a pasty little businessman who's like, hey, look at my masquerade. No, thank you. I always picture Doctor Doom having a very thick foreign accent of any kind because he was from a foreign country. He was from Latveria. He was Eastern European.
Right.
So I never pictured Doctor Doom sounding American. And that really threw me off when that guy started talking like that. So I went with somebody who is both intense, scary, and has a really cool foreign accent. I went with Javier Bardem.
Ooh, okay. Javier Bardem.
If you listen to the way he sounds in No Country for Old Men, when he's just talking and he's very quiet and he's very menacing and he's like, what's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss before? And I'm just like, I'm picturing that voice coming out of Doctor Doom, and I get chills and I'm like, oh, please don't hurt me, Doctor. I'll do whatever you say. Like that just creates a villain. He doesn't even, the script could be awful, but Javier Bardem saying lines in his voice with that costume on, I'm scared. I am scared. So it's where I need to be as a character. It's not like, hey, Reed. So that was where I wanted Doctor Doom to land, in that real scary spot, because he's a scary dude.
So well said. Doctor Doom, I do not envy Marvel, and I do not envy the person who has to cast Doctor Doom, because that's such a make or break. I mean, this is like your Loki. Like, if this character flops, that's like such a linchpin character that like people are just gonna be like, that's it, Marvel, I'm done. I don't care what you do at this point. Like, if you want to really maintain your comic book fans, you really gotta cast a really clever villain, a really clever actor for such a iconic and one of, if not the best, Marvel villain you could get your hands on. Like, in my mind, it's like Doctor Doom and then Magneto, and those are like the two that are like the pinnacle villains. So I agree with you. I did not think of Javier Bardem, but I do have him here. So I mean, man, it's just a real nail biter who you'd pick for Doctor Doom. So
yeah, there's a lot of pressure riding on Doom. There's a lot of pressure.
You can't deny it. You can't deny how much pressure it is. So I thought, because I know sometimes, DC will take an actor that maybe Marvel wanted, and Marvel, will take an actor that DC wanted. Because we had Ryan Reynolds go from Green Lantern to Deadpool. So I figured if that could be allowed, then I think, and the way I based this rule was, I don't think we'll see him in another movie playing another character in a DC movie. So for Doctor Doom, I chose Cillian Murphy, who played Scarecrow, because the Fantastic Four, if I were to approach it, you definitely want a good cast. And I think what I like about Cillian Murphy was, first of all, Inception. He did such a great job there. And also in Scarecrow, I think he showed a lot of range there. But there's sort of a Regal look to him. He's got this very kind of European royal look to him, which I think Doom needs to have.
Yeah, he looks like he could play Dracula.
Exactly, yes. And that's when you're playing someone like Doom. Doom's a classy looking dude. Like, after if we're talking like the acid scarring stuff, of course, once the acid scarring comes in, big nay, he looks really bad, and that's why he wears the mask and everything. But before then, he's a really handsome dude. And I would love to see Cillian Murphy play that character. I think he's got the right tone, feel, build, approach. and really intellectual, I think is what this guy will bring to Doctor Doom.
I like that a lot, man. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that actor, I heard some news the other day that is going to make us both very happy. Is that they're finally going ahead with Tron 3.
Oh yeah!
It's finally happening.
Yes!
Oh my God! It took them long enough.
I know.
So I hope he's in that too, because he was like a big like sequel seed that they put in Tron 2 and then never did anything with. So get him on board.
Yes, yeah.
That's great though. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom. So we got one common hero picked.
Yes.
Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Oh man. So where do I go from here? All right. So I go down to my next down on the list. So the next one I picked because again this was already announced and there's already a lot of talks going on about who they would pick. So She-Hulk was being announced, and She-Hulk, I was like, already my brain was like, okay, man, because She-Hulk is another character that really stands out. She was a member of the Fantastic Four. She's a member of the Avengers. And she also acts as a lawyer for a lot of the superheroes. And I think we're going to see a bit of that Law and Order kind of style to the She-Hulk life, considering certain stories. So for She-Hulk, I had to think about this real hard. And I saw a lot of fan castings, and I think one of them was Gina Carano, and I think she's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Gina. Gina's awesome. She did a great character in Star Wars there, The Mandalorian. But I don't think she's She-Hulk material. I think she has the build, she has the look, but I don't think she has the kind of I don't think she just has that personality that She-Hulk needs to deliver when she's not She-Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, we need to see that range, and she could do it, but I personally don't see it. And no offense to you, Gina. If you ever watch this, I love your work. Don't get me wrong. I love it. And I think there are better roles for you, but She-Hulk is not one of them. So what I chose, and I think it's smart because the Russos are really good at writing characters and casting and all that stuff. And they were big directors of Community, and they built some of the story with Community. And I think that if I were to pick a She-Hulk, I would go with Alison Brie from the Community.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I think that she has the range, the personality range, because She-Hulk has, though she emulates a lot of confidence, there is a lot of damage about her, and I think that. You know, the way I always look at how Marvel casts things is they always look at an actor and they look at a small project that they've done that would best represent a character. So for her, if you look at her work in Glow, I think there's an interesting bits and pieces of performance there that I would love to nitpick and use in She-Hulk. And that's why I would cast Alison Brie as She-Hulk.
That's great. I really like that. And you're right. She's known mostly for Community, which is a very funny show, but she's really versatile. She plays a very sort of like melancholy kind of role on Mad Men, where she's just married to a guy who is always cheating on her, and she just kind of goes through the motions. Like, so she's got a lot of range to her. She did great in The Disaster Artist. She was really good in this movie called The 5-Year Engagement, where she was serious sometimes and funny other times. Like, so her range is great. I really like her as She-Hulk, and it's interesting because I have She-Hulk on my list, and I didn't know other people were thinking this, like you said, but I put Gina Carano thinking I was being original. I had no idea that other people had the same train of thought, because I was just like, okay, she looks like she could be related to Mark Ruffalo because they're supposed to be cousins. You know, she's also short, dark-haired Italian. So is he. Like, okay, perfect. They could be related. And the pictures I have seen of, what's her name? Jennifer something? She-Hulk's alter ego. Is it Jennifer Banner? Or?
No, it's not Jennifer Banner. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you keep going, keep explaining.
Yeah,
the last name.
Whatever her real name is. The pictures I have seen of her when she's just in her normal lawyer civilian mode, she, unlike Bruce, she still looks like somebody who could kick my ass. Yeah. Like she doesn't look like this little, at least the way she's drawn. She still looks like somebody tough, and Gina Carano's got that to her.
It's Jennifer Walters, by the way.
Jennifer Walters, thank you. So that was where my head went, and I was like, sold. Like, I can picture Gina Carano green. Beautiful. Sign me up. I'm already waiting in line at the theater for this.
Yeah.
So my brain went to Gina, but I can't believe that was also like a thing other people were doing. I didn't know that.
And the reason why I know that, and actually you would have been original had I not followed Gina's Instagram, because people have drawn her as She-Hulk, and I was like, okay, I get it. And guys, don't get me wrong, and Fantasia, man, my brother, I love you, man. I see it. But in terms of, I've seen a lot of Community, and I've seen Glow, and I just feel like there's just aspects of Jennifer Walters' personality that I've seen in performances by Alison Brie.
Glow is the 80s show about wrestling, right?
Yeah, she plays a character who just people just hate her, just dump on her a lot, and she finally finds this wrestling thing and becomes very empowered by it. And it's that very moment that I see the same Jennifer Walters experience. She's very confident, but just doesn't get things. And again, I probably am not representing She-Hulk as best as other fans would, but I feel like when she was Jennifer Walters before the Hulk, like she just wasn't getting her way as a lawyer. Like people weren't taking her seriously. And there's so many scenes I've seen in the Community and Glow where she just doesn't get that same respect and all that stuff, but I have also seen those scenes where she does get her justice, and it's just so fitting. There's so many paintball episodes where in the Community where Alison Brie really comes alive and becomes like the toughest character, and that I'm just like, that's She-Hulk right there to me. I think that's I would love to see that.
Oh yeah, everybody's scared of Annie on that show. You don't mess with Annie. Oh, yeah. I like Alison Brie too. I would happily watch her step into the She-Hulk shoes. Okay, this next person I have here is an actor who, because of what he did, because of how famous he got, his name gets tossed around everywhere. Like to the point where when I say his name, I wouldn't blame you if you were like, oh, I'm so sick of hearing people say they want to see him. And that actor is Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Okay. Love me some Bryan.
Love him. He's awesome. I don't have a bad thing to say about him, but I get it. He's being dreamcast for every single freaking role ever.
Yeah.
Just because he's awesome. So I understand if people are sick of hearing his name, but bear with me, because when you take a look at what he did with Walter White and how he took this character from somebody who was a common everyday man into something far more dangerous, but while still being cerebral about it, I can't help but think that you stick Bryan Cranston in the right costume, you get some good special effects, and we have ourselves a long-needed new Dr. Octopus.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
You get a little harness on this guy. He's got 4 arms running around. He's doing his thing. He's like, Peter is friends with him because he's a friendly guy, and then all of a sudden he's not a friendly guy, and he's like, wow, what's up? Look at my arms. Like there's so much subtlety to Dr. Octopus and to the tragedy of going from Otto Octavius to Dr. Octopus, because that is always a big part of his character. And that tragedy was played well in the Sam Raimi movies, considering how cheesy those movies get. They actually did a really good job with that tragedy, but I think you can go even farther with it. And actually the Spider-Man video game did a cool job with Otto Octavius as well. But I want to see that explored in a movie, going from Otto to Ock, and just seeing what you can do when you have an actor like that in a universe like this.
I see it. It's funny because you really could, if they could make Bryan Cranston Zordon and give me a believable performance, I will.
Right?
I will gladly accept Bryan Cranston as Doc Ock. I mean, to be fair, like the Sam Raimi's casting was incredible. The actor's name, who also escapes me at the time, who played him, did a fantastic job. And true to the character, I mean, Doc Ock's crusade to find like this sustained fusion energy, and just like that commitment just makes him so blind that he ends up like ruining his life. And it's so well done, which opens doors to so many other characters I'd love to cast in that story, which would be, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not even gonna like tease you guys, make you think it's gonna happen. I would love to see the Hardys, the Hardy family, both Felicia and her mom, And I would love to see them because they play a very intricate role, especially in the Spider-Man cartoon. You saw them in there, but even in the comic books, they play a very big role. But I mean, yeah, I can agree with you. I don't know. I probably want someone a little more European than Bryan Cranston, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, he was the culture shock growing up because we grew up with that Fox cartoon where he sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Dr. Octopus was like, Spider-Man, I'm going to kill you. And then the movie came out and he was an American guy. And it was jarring, just like with Dr. Doom. But unlike Doom, Alfred Molina actually did a good job bringing an American Octavius to life. But do you have an Dr. Octopus on your list?
I do not.
You do not. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
No, but I'm gonna pause you there because you know what though, if we were in the casting room and that would be a wonderful day. You and I are consultants in the Marvel casting room. I would actually try to convince you to use Bryan Cranston for Norman Osborn.
I can totally get behind that.
Right?
Yeah.
He's got that business canter, but like even using Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad is like source material for like constructing Norman Osborn. It's perfect. And just like someone who's so detached but yet has the son that he deeply cares for. I would love to see Bryan give that a go. And it he did the Malcolm in the Middle thing. So you do have that family dynamic, plus you have Breaking Bad's business dynamic. Put that in the world. Even in Breaking Bad, he had a family. Put that together, that would make a mean Norman Osborn.
And he's already got the Green Ranger suit from the Power Rangers movie. So there you go. Just reuse that. Stick some goblin ears on it. Yeah. You're good to go.
I think that and again, Raimi's version with William Dafoe, if you take away the cheesiness of the costume, the performance was brilliant. Like great villain. I think the problem was the art direction with the suit. It was too weird. Like it felt too military-esque and not enough like comic book villain. I would have loved to seen like the purple hood over his armor to kind of give him that goblin-like look. The mask was cool, but I would have still kind of liked to make it more. If I were to go the military approach, I'd like to do more jungle camouflage where it's like you got the purple cape, but it's more like layers. Like it feels like kind of like a bush, like shrubbery. So he looks like a fantasy creature, like a dark elf kind of thing. I would have really tried to push that forward more and stop being as reserved with the look and feel because the whole point of Green Goblin is that it's Norman's nightmare come to life to help him, to give him what he wants in the darkest way possible. And so that's why I would have loved to seen him ruin the military suit and give it the nightmare come to life kind of look. I would have loved to have seen that, and it would have been perfect. But that's what I would have spent a good couple of work days with you trying to convince you to move Bryan over there because Doc Ock, I don't see it as much as probably you do.
And then you would have been like, "Don't tell Harry."
Don't tell Harry. Brutal. But I love it, and I'm surprised I actually did put that on there. You definitely went for some different ones than I did. All right. So, speaking of Spider-Man, it's actually kind of perfect that we're getting into this because I really wanted to. I really did want to get some Spider-Man villains on this roster. And so I've seen Doc Ock, I have, but I wanted to see a hero, and again, I'm a big fan of Far From Home. Probably, like, I love both Spider-Man Homecoming. Far From Home was my favorite, only because they had one of my favorite villains, which was Mysterio, who at first wasn't my favorite villain. I didn't quite see the genius in him until I saw and it was in my like later years, like more recently, that I became a big fan of him because one cartoon kind of nailed this version of Mysterio that I would have loved to have seen more of, and that's the cartoon Spectacular Spider-Man. If you haven't seen it, in the second season, there's an episode called Blueprints, and it's features Mysterio as the main villain. And the theatricality that they brought, and if I had only to use one word, is that the theatricality they brought to Mysterio. That's the kind of Mysterio villain I would like to see. And they did another modern version of that in Far From Home, because, and I didn't appreciate it until, and they do it very well, was until the bar scene. When Mysterio does the cheers to his fellow staff, and again, I would say spoiler warning, but I figured if you haven't seen it at this point, you really don't care. You really can't care. But there's that scene in the bar where he starts cheering his staff, and then you really get to see this kind of director look and feel that he gives off, and it's so good. And it's so good. So the whole point of the story is I wanted to see new villains, because Marvel has really looked at what other villains have been done in Spider-Man's world, and they take ones that haven't been done and they just give it the best twist. And one I haven't seen yet is Kraven, and I want to see Kraven the Hunter. And I figured because it's a fun role, it's a role that can demand a lot of story, but at the same time, it's more about the physicality of the role that's going to sell it. So I figured in this particular case, normally you would want to hire a wrestler, or you look at The Rock, who is like such a good physical actor, and yet he's grown so much as an actor. If I were to go back in time and tell my younger self, like, The Rock's going to be like probably one of the best actors you're going to see in your life, I would have laughed at myself and be like, he's a wrestler. What are you talking about? So I think that, I want to see more actors who can demonstrate physicality better, kind of work on their acting and build their characters. So I chose an interesting choice. I chose good old, I think his name's Scott Akins, who played in Undisputed 2. He played the villain.
I need to look this gentleman up. How do you spell his last name?
It's like, okay, Scott Adkins. So I think it's
Scott Adkins.
Yes, okay. Adkins. I think it is.
Oh, okay.
If you look up his role in Undisputed, he looks like Kraven. He looks like scary Kraven. And this is just the way I see Marvel casting, is like you look at a small project that this actor has done and you nitpick where like you're seeing this character can be built from. And again, you look at I think his name's Boyka in Undisputed, and you look at that character, I could see Kraven build off of that character.
He absolutely looks like he could put a lion in a headlock, no question.
Right? And the tone he brings, and also the physicality. This guy's a stuntman, and he's very athletic. He's very agile. If you ever watch Undisputed, watch him move. He's very quick, and yet he's such a big guy. But he can do flips. He can do kick ups. So that's this kind of character I'd love to see him play, and just try to hunt down Spider-Man. Again, super perfect. I think it's such great casting.
Dude, this is like, I am floored by how good this is. Like, even his facial hair and his hair are Kraven. Like, he doesn't need to go to the makeup trailer. Like, he's ready. Just put a fur thing on him, and this is so good.
And that's the thing, though. I would love to see him. And again, I hope Marvel has really learned from Thor Ragnarok. Like, don't try to be really restrained. Go full out there. I want to see him wear the vest with the lion's mane on the back and like the jungle kind of look. I think that would be perfect. And I want to see this guy play the Kraven the Hunter.
100%. Undisputed.
I see what you did there.
Undisputedly, yes. Yeah. Wow. Well done. That is some good casting. Kevin, you watching? I know you aren't. But somehow, listen to this. Get that guy on the phone. Scott Adkins is Kraven. Wow, good job. I don't have Kraven on my list, and I'm glad I don't, because there's no way I would have been able to top that.
All right.
Wow. But I will tell you who I do have on my list. Someone you just mentioned not too long ago from the Spider-Man world, Miss Black Cat, Felicia Hardy.
Ooh, okay.
Now, maybe I got a little greedy. Maybe it's just because I want to see this beautiful lady run around in a cat suit kicking ass. Now, she is another actress who is very prominent nowadays. You hear her name a lot. You see her cast in big things a lot. But I can't help but think that Emilia Clarke of Game of Thrones fame has certainly proved she can A, kick ass,
Yeah.
And B, look good doing it. And C, be a likable character. She can do it all. So,
that's good. That's really good.
I think that there's something she brought to Daenerys where, you know, she starts off as this humble girl who's learning about the world and stuff. And then by the end of the series, she's almost become a tyrant. Like, she is just like, I'm the queen. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to burn you.
Yeah.
She's got that sort of self-entitled rich mentality that comes with being the queen in that world. And I think all you got to do is take that self-entitlement, drop it into modern day New York City as like a rich Karen, and then be like, hey, I'm Felicia Hardy now. And there you go. And then she can have an arc too, where she's like, she might like how she was in the cartoon, where she was just like self-absorbed and whatever. And like, Peter, you must take me to the dance. And then by the end of the movie, she's like, hey, I want to be a good person and fight crime. You could get this really cool arc out of that. And we have seen that Emilia Clarke can absolutely do that. Mm-hmm. So I am 100% down. We already know she looks good blonde too. Blonde hair suits her. Sign me up.
You know what, man? That I will give undisputed. I love it. That is so good. And she has the right look. And again, and I love how again, it plays to the Marvel formula that I believe is the right way to cast people, which is like, again, you look at a piece of work that speaks to the breadth of what character they want to build off of. And I think that, you know, the Game of Thrones character is a great way to look at her work to become Black Cat, because, you know, she comes from this royal line, or like the Hardy Foundation. The Hardys are a rich family, you know, rivaling Oscorp essentially, but they're more of like the peacekeeping side of it. And yet, you know, she has this innocence where she gets exposed and becomes the Black Cat. And when she's the Black Cat, she's seeing how the dark world influences this world she used to be part of, and then realizes that her history is also dark, and then kind of gets wrapped in it all. And could not have chosen a better character. Yes. 100% agree. I did not, you know, I thought about Black Cat in my list too, but because we did it right, because I only limited myself to 20, I had to pick really key characters that I think are going to play a really big story. And Black Cat was like, my list is 20, she's like 21. Like, she's like right there, but not there yet. And like,
I actually almost had her. I almost had Emilia Clarke as Emma Frost. And then I was like, who would I rather see? And I'm like, honestly, I don't give a crap about Emma Frost. I'd rather see Black Cat at this point. So I swapped that out.
And Emma's been done. Like, again, Emma's been done, and don't get me wrong, that performance was fantastic, and that X-Men movie is my favorite one, and I don't know why they didn't keep that director to run the rest of them, but again, it's one of those things where it's been done, but I think that again, it depends how they're going to do X-Men, in which right now, the way I heard they're going to do X-Men, I want to see it done this way as opposed to what's been traditionally done, which is they're going to introduce, as far as I know, from what I've been in the speculation world, what I've been seeing, is they're going to introduce characters in other people's movies, and then eventually down the road, very much do a X-Men movie, but it won't be called that. I don't know. But my understanding is like, and which is right, because X-Men and all the characters all play in different people's stories. And there's a character we'll get to that we'll jump into that, but we're going to continue down my list. And go from there. But good call.
Thank you.
Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, Emilia Clarke. Could not have thought of a better one. Okay, so I wanted a strong villain. Like, we're talking strong villains, and what really, again, you got Magneto, you got Doctor Doom, but there are some other ones that deserve attention to become one of those villains, and one of them that really earned their spot for me was when I watched the cartoon, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and this villain, I think, deserves that same screen attention time, and that's Kang the Conqueror. And Kang's been alluded to recently based on Loki's trailer, because Loki's wearing this prison uniform, and the symbol he has on his prison uniform is what is considered like these time police. I don't know the name don't know the name, But these time police play an intricate role in this villain's story, which is Kang. Kang is the king of time, and he becomes this conqueror and rules the world kind of thing, to a point where he has like a council of Kangs who all have manipulated time in their favor to be like these rulers. And Kang is such a great character. The Avengers, he believes that Captain America should not exist in time. He should have stayed frozen in the ice, and no one should have found him, and the world would have been great without it. But because the Avengers found him in ice, that changed the whole flow of time, which affects Kang's world. Kang comes back and has to, try to fix it all so he can keep going. And I think a great actor who can play a villain who demonstrates confidence, but in the end you learn that he's doing it to protect someone he deeply cares about, and to play that so genuinely, so wholeheartedly genuinely, I picked Denzel Washington as Kang the Conqueror.
That's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot.
And I based this performance on Remember the Titans, because he just right. I already see it, right? Like he's not the villain in that movie, but there's this, like, people treat him as such, and I think that's where Kang thrives as well. And I want to see that performance that Denzel delivers, like being that confidence. And there's another word I'd use to describe it, but that authority figure, but yet coming from such a place of concern and protection. I think Denzel can do it, man. I believe in that, and I would want to see that story built out and do all sorts of cool things with.
And as far as I can remember, I don't think I've ever seen Denzel play like a villain role before. Mm-hmm. He's usually the hero of the story, so it'd be really cool to see him step into that role. I would really like that. I have Kang too. But I think I like yours better, because my deal with Kang is that I know he's a big villain. He's like a top tier villain, and I know he's a time traveler.
Yeah.
I didn't know the nuances of his character like you did, so I just went with somebody who has sort of a soulful face, because Kang is he's got to be covered in makeup. He looks like not a human. He looks like a toy the way he's drawn. So I went with somebody who I know can do a really cool job as a villain with a strong voice and a soulful face, and I went with Ralph Fiennes.
Ooh, okay.
And that was basically all all the premeditation I did to get Ralph Fiennes into those shoes was can I slap this makeup on him and have him still deliver performance? And I was like, considering what he did with Voldemort, mm-hmm. The man made me scared of a person with no nose. I think he can make me scared of a guy who looks like a Lego minifigure with purple face. So I took that and I'm like, all right. And then I pictured him running around time and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this works. But I really like Denzel. I think that would be awesome. I think he can make it so complex. So I'm assuming he would be an Avengers villain. I don't think he's a villain to any specific one hero, right? He would be like in an Avengers movie.
I would say also he probably dipped and dabbed in Fantastic Four a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think as long as especially if you have Denzel, because he's so strong, that would be a movie where, like they did at Infinity War with Thanos, he's almost the main character of the film. You would have to be about Kang, especially because of all the time traveling he does. Like, focus on him.
Yeah.
That's great.
And there's a beautiful love story there, and sincere was the word I was looking at. It's such a sincere character. I think that there's a real transformative performance that Denzel can give to this character, and it would be, again, and if they do Kang, guys, I'm gonna spoiler warning to you now. He will try to help the Avengers. He will be like, you know what, I will give you my technology in order to help the world survive, but you must, proclaim me your ruler, essentially. And he does like moves like that, and it's so good. So many cool things you could do. And again, I would love to see Denzel. And villains always, like, when you have such great actors, when you have such great actors like Denzel come in and play a villain, you can really elevate that character's performance and just go right off the top. And Tom Hiddleston, again, Loki was a great example of, like, you have this great actor, comes from Warhorse, and and really just elevates this performance and just blows it out of the water, and gives Loki such breadth to a point where he has his own series. Like, that's epic.
Yeah. I wish somebody would proclaim me as their king and master. I'm gonna become like Kang the Conqueror and make that my mission in life.
Yeah.
Just proclaim me your lord and master. That's all I ask.
That's it. All right, so you are up, sir. I know you said you have Kang, so we have. I don't know what our count is at already.
Well, I'll tell you. So far, I have given you Doctor Doom, Doctor Octopus, Black Cat, Kang, and She-Hulk. I have given you 5.
Okay.
My next one on the list here, I'm really excited to hear what you think of this. I'm about to rock your world right now,
Okay.
Ryan Justified.
Rock my world.
I am about to cast the perfect, I hope,
Go on.
Galactus.
Oh, wow, you're going to cast Galactus. Oh my god.
Galactus. I don't know if you have Galactus on your list because he's tricky. It's tricky. But what I thought was like, all right, we're definitely going to need to use computers to make this happen. Makes sense.
Considering this guy's supposed to be like just
he's big enough to be like, oh, Earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's gonna be some special effects trickery, but Galactus is all about giving orders and proclaim my presence. Galactus's true power as a character comes from his voice.
Right.
So I was like, who is stepping in front of a microphone and voicing Galactus? And I thought there's only one guy for this job, and that would be Mr. Frank Welker.
Frank
who played the Cave of Wonders in Aladdin.
Oh my god.
Who disturbs my slumber? That's Galactus, right?
All right.
That's where I went.
That's impressive. That's I would have not predicted that. I love it though. I love it. There was a voice actor in the early Fantastic Four cartoon in 1994. His name's Tony J, and he played a wonderful Galactus voice. And again, it was a very authoritative yet humble voice.
He is one of my favorite voice actors from the 90s. He was Megabyte. He was Chairface Chippendale. He just sounds like a villain. He's great.
Yeah, and there's a line where he's like, I should now make you my herald. Like, he just says it so beautifully and such a beautiful approach. But I agree with you. Like, if you're gonna do it, really, I think you need a voice actor to play Galactus. I don't think you need an actual actor. I think that's really just not necessary. I want a voice actor because that voice needs to sound like something way out there. We're talking like in terms of casting, you could go someone who's been a physical actor, but yet played something that's just massive. And I think the casting needs to be parallel. If you're gonna cast an actor, you need to have a parallel casting, like when they casted Orson Welles to play Unicron. Like, yes. You need someone of that caliber to voice a character of that scale. So I can't even give you a suggestion. In fact, I couldn't even do it. I was like, I don't know who they would choose for Galactus.
By the way, if Orson Welles was still alive, Wilson Fisk, baby.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was the Kingpin in his spare time. Orson Welles. As soon as he's done acting, he just goes and he's like, "So, what's to be done about Spider-Man?" Then
there's a lot of debate that he's going to come back. The Kingpin's going to come back. So I would love to see that. I love it. All right, so moving on. Let's keep this ball rolling. All right, so next one I've casted was, after I immediately thought of Kang, I'm like, we need to think of a hero that demands as much presence as Kang, yet has such a key story arc, and plays in a lot of different character stories, and that's Namor. I had to go out and cast Namor right out of the gate. This is a hard one to cast because I think that you need someone who you can't predict to be the character. You can't just go out and say, I'm gonna pick you as Namor. I think this is one of those Robert Downey roles where you need to pick a character. You need to pick an actor who's been in the scenes a little bit, but also been not quite hit fame yet, but yet is successful. and I picked a kind of a out there casting. I picked Joe Taslim. He's a character from the Raid. I think he plays this really he has this really angry tone to his performances all the time, but it's I think he can really use that to drive this hero in an interesting way.
I'm looking at him now. He's got the eyebrows, man. His eyebrows are Namor eyebrows.
Yeah.
Who was he in the Raid? Was he the main guy's brother?
Yeah, he was the main guy's brother, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that he can use that anger and yet be that civilization that's above it all. Like I think he just has that physicality, and I'm all about that physicality. And I think that he would be a great role for Namor.
I like this guy a lot. I would totally be down to see him play Namor.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool. Oh, apparently he's playing Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat reboot.
That's news to me.
I'm just seeing
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, apparently. I like this. Joe Taslim. I am down for that. So my Namor was, I also have Namor, so let me mark down. We got another character here. So my Namor was the one I mentioned earlier, who initially I had this guy as Moon Knight, and then at the last second I was like, let me make him Namor, because I think this can work. And I went with the king of Bohemian Rhapsody himself. I went with Rami Malek.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the soulful look on his face that I feel like Namor has. Like Namor is, no pun intended, a fish out of water. And I feel like Rami can bring that to the table. He can be this wide-eyed guy who just stands around and is like, what are all these land people doing? What's this stuff I'm walking on? He's got the body for it. He's a fit guy. I can totally see him with little wings on his feet. I don't know, something about his face made it really easy to transition to Namor for me. Now, Namor has always been a character who I thought was like, okay. Every time I see him, he's always angry. So I was like, I don't like this guy. He's always pissed off. But I think that is part of what makes his character interesting. Yeah. And I think you could have a lot of cool moments where, like, a lot of dick measuring between him and Mr. Fantastic, right? Because that's what ends up happening.
Well, to be frank, and I apologize to use your same vernacular here, but Namor, all he does is dick measure with everybody. That's what he does. Because, he's with Atlantis, he's all about, like, we're the best civilization out there and you're treating us like dirt.
Yeah. He's a really interesting character. I don't think there's any world where they don't include Namor. Like, Namor's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But yeah, Rami Malek I thought was a cool choice to be that, but I love this dude too, Joe Taslim. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
While you're at it, make the Raid 3, please. Please.
Absolutely. All right. So, okay, so I went with Namor. You had a Namor. All right, so I think you are up next, sir.
All right, who do I have? Oh, okay. Now, this one's interesting. Technically, this person's already in the MCU, but I don't think it counts. Because my next person is Ghost Rider.
Ooh, okay.
Like, I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I watched 3 seasons, and I'm like, you know what? Don't call yourself an MCU show if you're not really going to embrace that 100%. I just feel like it didn't. So I am drawing a clean slate there, and I'm bringing Ghost Rider because I love Ghost Rider. I can't remember the name of the guy, not Johnny Blaze, but the guy who's Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What's that character?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I think it's something Reyes or something like that. So I think that I would just love to pieces if they got Oscar Isaac to play that dude.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, that's cool.
I'm just picturing him sitting on a motorcycle there, and he's like, all right, I'm going to go do my thing, and then whoosh in the fire. And then we got Ghost Rider, because he is such a cool-looking character. And the movies, I still haven't seen Ghost Rider 2, the second movie. But that first movie was like, it's almost like an anti-MCU movie. MCU is all about telling a great story, making lesser characters better than they've ever been, and giving fans what they want to see. And that Ghost Rider movie did not. It literally went like, it was like, we're going to tell a so-so story. We're going to make low characters even worse than they've ever been. And hey, you Ghost Riders team up. Well, no, they're not going to do that, but they're going to ride for a bit together. Hey.
Hey,
Fun.
so good.
I only had one more change in me, and I was saving it for a road trip. You don't want to save it for the demon I'm going to fight in like 3 minutes? No? So the idea of putting Ghost Rider into the world that the MCU has made I would love that to pieces. I already love Oscar Isaac. He's a man crush of mine. He is a wonderful dude. We all fell in love with him in The Force Awakens. Take him out of an X-Wing, put him on a motorcycle, boom, Spirit of Vengeance.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's true. It's actually true that they did say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is part of the MCU. But I agree with you. The show was really, didn't really give us that commitment that they were part of it. I mean, there's some aha moments, oh man, I remember getting my hopes up so many times and being let down just as many. The one that got me was that got my hopes up. They're like, oh, we have a mysterious 473 or whatever it's called, and I got really excited because I think the number they used was the century that crashed into Earth that represent the Kree at the time. And I got really stoked. And then Coulson immediately after goes, oh yeah, the last one was really special. The last one was a hammer. And I was like, oh my god, they're going to do some Marvel movie tie-in thing. And it was, oh my god, it was nothing. It was literally just nothing. And so that really made me angry. And it's not the first time that show's done that, and it wasn't the last. But I will say that show had redeeming factors. They brought in Absorbing Man and did so much justice to him. And Ghost Rider, I didn't see it. Robbie Reyes. Yeah, Robbie Reyes. I did not see that version of Ghost Rider. I heard it was amazing. I heard it was when he was brought in. It was really, really good. But again, that show was like a teenage relationship. You wanted it to work. It's just clearly there's a lot of mishaps going there.
It wanted different things than we did.
Yeah, exactly. But there was discussions that, now we're knocking on the multiverse doors. We may get 2 Ghost Riders. We may get Johnny Blaze and Robbie Reyes. I would not be surprised. Again, some of these speculations, as a comic book fan, it's something I would want, but it just feels that there's no evidence to really support it. But I did some research, and now that we're entering this multiverse of madness, I feel that they're knocking on a story that would also give a great 2 characters. So I'm gonna take a little advantage here, my friend.
Take it. Take all the advantage.
I'm gonna take a little advantage here, and I'm gonna throw in 2 castings here. So I felt that if you're going to do the multiverse, you need to have the Braddock family. And so there's 2 Braddocks in particular that I had to cast in my Marvel MCU dream casting.
Is this the Power Pack? Is that family?
No. I don't think this is the Power Pack. First of all, you need to cast Benjamin Braddock as Captain Britain, because I did not know this, but after doing research, Captain Britain is the protector of the multiverse. That's his role, and that's what he does.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, if we're gonna need a Captain Britain in this story, and so I casted the classic choice here, Arnie Hammer. I needed Arnie Hammer to play. He was the Lone Ranger, but I think that he definitely emulates that kind of British royalty, but that hero look. And I really need to see it. I need to see Captain Britain in it and be that multiverse protector. Now, if you know your comic book knowledge, Benjamin Braddock has a sister who is a very famous mutant.
I hope her name starts with a B, too.
Her name is Betsy Braddock.
Yes!
But AKA her name is Psylocke.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so we need a Psylocke in this story. So we're kind of leaning into a little bit of the X-Men here on my list, but I needed it because I needed Captain Britain as well. So I tried to figure out how am I going to cast these siblings? How am I going to try to fit this all together? And I felt like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. And I really loved her performance, and I think that she is probably not going to be considered, and I hope she is, but it just seems like a choice I've seen nobody try to go for. So nobody really liked Terminator Salvation. I thought it was okay. It's a fun action movie nonetheless. But there's an actress in it named Moon Bloodgood, and I think she would be an incredible Psylocke. I think she's got the look, she's got the confidence. And you know, you got to play a character who's got some moral ambiguity here, and she's a ninja, and also she's a thief, and she's this rich person, this Robin Hood-like character, and I think that because she was part of this rebellion group against the Terminators, it just kind of fits, and the performance was really cool. She was like she just had this confidence to her and this toughness that I think that she can really capture for Psylocke. And so I chose for the Braddocks, Armie Hammer as Captain Britain, and Psylocke is Moon Bloodgood.
Now, this is really cool. I like this. Like Moon Bloodgood, first of all, one of the most badass names in show business.
Yeah.
Like let's be real, that is friggin' cool. But you're right, she's a veteran of movies like this, because not only was she Terminator Salvation, but I'm pretty sure she was Logan's girlfriend in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think that was her.
I think you're wrong.
Am I wrong? No, you're right. I am wrong. I am wrong. The one from X-Men Origins Wolverine was the one from John Carter.
That's right.
And I forget her name. But no, Moon Bloodgood, I'm picturing her face, and we'll have that up here on the thing. But that is very Psylocke. That is very. Now, are these two actors, are they British? I honestly don't know.
It's hard to say with Moon Bloodgood. She is. She's from the U.S. Yeah, she's from Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I think she's got like
She's from Nebraska, England.
Yeah.
I feel like Armie Hammer might be British, and we've only just seen him putting on American accents and things, because he doesn't show up too often. But like he did a great Russian accent in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh,
so even if he's American, the dude can do accents. He's good. He's got it down. And you're right. He's like tall, chiseled, muscular, blonde guy. That's Captain Britain. See, I didn't know he was the defender of the multiverse. This is why I love this show, because I learned shit from you. I learned these things. Speaking of learning, since you guys can actually see us on this episode, look what Ryan got me for my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
It is a very, I have to center my camera. Here we go. It is a very cool book. This big, it's long. It's longer than a normal book. It's oversized. About the history of the Marvel Universe, and it's all done in comic book form.
I love it.
Which is perfect. That's how you do a history of a comic book universe.
Oh, that looks so beautiful.
Oh my God. It is wonderful.
I love that. I love that page you turn to with Captain America and
this random page, and every page looks this good. It's great.
Oh my God, so jelly.
Here's another. Let's get to another random one here. Like, look at this, the Civil War page. Look how they did it.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So jelly.
Wow, wonderful. If you guys are only listening to this, when you see this come up on YouTube, you'll be able to see what I'm holding up, the images. But I like that, man. Captain Britain and Psylocke. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. And I don't have either of them on my list.
Oh, how could you not have Psylocke? That's like such a pivotal X-Men character.
She didn't make my radar, but I'll tell you who did make my radar. Now this character is out of left field. This character is weird. Okay.
It's Quasar.
So I just I just talked about Ghost Rider.
Yes. And
we all know that originally Ghost Rider was played by the one, the only Sir Nicolas Cage.
Yes, of course. Who did a great. Who, by the way, we actually saw that together. We saw that.
Yes, we did. That was the first movie you and I watched together.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And he did a great job as Ghost Rider, all things considered. He is very eccentric, and he's known for roles like that. Especially his face. His face is almost made of rubber. He is very malleable with the things he can do with his eyes and his mouth. So I thought, if we get a very thin mask on him, thin enough that we can see his eyes and his mouth and see all the things he does when he talks, and just let Cage be Cage, Because my God, there's nothing more entertaining than letting Cage be Cage. What if he's the Hobgoblin?
Wow, I did not. I thought you were going Chameleon there for a second. I'm like, yeah, Chameleon. He's gonna get it. And then like, no, you went way out of left field. But I love it because Chameleon was Hobgoblin was a very kind of business saboteur character. Hobgoblin, Kingpin hires him to do a lot of business sabotage, and Norman does the same thing, and that's what people hire him for. So I think, and I think of his Gone in 60 Seconds character oftentimes, and I think that plays a really good role for Hobgoblin. Really interesting choice, though. Wow.
Thank you. He was, back in the day when I would watch a Spider-Man cartoon, at first, as a little, like watching it for like the first like month or something, Hobgoblin was my favorite Spider-Man villain. And today he's my second favorite after Kingpin. Kingpin just took the reins and didn't let go. But God bless him. God bless Kingpin. But yeah, Hobgoblin just, the way he looked in that cartoon specifically too, with the orange and the red cape and the blue and yellow, like he was so colorful. He almost didn't look like a villain, but then he's terrifying. He causes so much destruction. And even as his normal self, like you're saying, as Jason McIndale, the businessman, whatever, he's a psychopath. Like that guy is one bad day away from, going postal. And you can totally see that in Cage. That's the thing. Jason McIndale did not look any less scary just because he wasn't wearing the Hobgoblin outfit. He just looked like a scary guy in a suit. So that's why I think Cage, whether or not he's in a suit or whether or not he's got a mask and an orange hood, he's going to scare you. And the idea of him flying around and just like throwing pumpkin bombs at the city and being like, Spider-Man, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. That just, why would anybody not want to see that? And like, I've always had a soft spot for Hobgoblin. Like I said, he's been my second favorite Spider-Man villain for years now. And he's always forgotten because Green Goblin is more famous. But there's just something so cool. There's just something so cool about Hobgoblin that my face lights up every time I see that he's been included in something. So I wanted to include him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like Green Goblin, man. The story's way more important.
It is
what it is.
And you can't have Hob without Green.
That's true. That's true.
But
well, fair enough. Okay, so because I did too, I feel like it's only fair you have a second.
Ooh, okay. This is going to get interesting now because next on my list, as we've been going alphabetically, I have Human Torch.
Ooh, okay.
Now, this is, I'm pretty sure you have Human Torch on your list.
I had to. Yeah.
So there's another character we both have. Now, this is the first instance that I mentioned earlier, Ryan, where I have, bada bing, bada boom, I have gender swapped the Human Torch. Human Torch is a lady.
What? Oh,
Human Torch is a lady now. Yeah. And I am going to get this out for you right here. So without spoiling it, I have cast a blonde actress to play Invisible Woman.
Of course.
So with
it better be who I think it is, or else I'm just gonna be super mad.
With Human Torch, I was like, okay, it's Invisible Woman is still gonna be Human Torch's sister. So why don't I cast an actress who is also a blonde actress? So it looks like, yeah, they're sisters, right? Makes sense. So I have been recently watching the DC Arrowverse since quarantine hit. I've been binge watching the Arrowverse, and I think the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life is a main staple on the Arrowverse, and I'm gonna put her into our chat right now so you can see her just in case. But that is Miss Emily Bett Rickards. I have her down.
Oh yes, Felicia.
My Human Torch.
Yes.
Felicity, actually. Felicity.
Felicity.
On Arrow. On Arrow, she plays this very cool hacker, very fun character. But one thing that she is not on Arrow, at least not at first, is confident. She's a shy character at first. And Human Torch is extremely cocky and confident. Chris Evans showed us that firsthand. So I was like, what if I just take that? Now it's a lady and she's running around town sleeping with everybody and like, hey, I'm the coolest person in town, blah, blah, blah. Now I shoot fire. Isn't this awesome? I want to see her do that because I think she can. And I'm kind of in love with her. But that's my Human Torch, Miss Emily Bett Rickards.
Oh, man. That's, Human Torch is a tricky character because he's been done. Like there's been, I think almost every hero has been shaped around his type of transformation, if you will, which is the confident one that learns a painful lesson and has to humble themselves. That's why he's like always heating up and just getting angry. Chris Evans did an amazing, actually, Johnny Storm originally, but it was a very campy performance, I will say, because it was a campy movie.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. I mean, we all know. And also, I want to apologize to those Felicity fans out there. I haven't seen Arrow in a long time. I'm not as much as a DC fan as some other people I know. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm a Marvel fan. My heart, I always say it. I like DC. I love Marvel. Like that's just the way it is. If it's one thing we've learned from the last Fantastic Four movie, is you can't change the formula too much in certain instances. And I think that with Fantastic Four, because Johnny Storm has been overdone, and his character's kind of a tiresome addition to like these comic book movies, kind of been done, it's kind of dry. I think what you need to do is there's a Fantastic Four story, I think it kicks off with the Future Foundation, is Johnny Storm dies, right? Like probably within like the first few issues. So he dies pretty early on. But it's one of those time traveling warning things where he warns the Fantastic Four that it's going to go down, that you can't prevent this, it's got to happen, and then he dies. And what's cool is like he's got like this long blonde hair and he's got like a cybernetic arm. I can't remember the full details of the story. My brother told me about it. Out of the two of us, my brother's very cosmic. So my brother knows a lot of the Fantastic Four stories as opposed to me. So I'm more of like the city heroes. Anyway, so I think that that's the story you need to do with Johnny. I think it will just give that Fantastic Four the right kind of oomph to take them seriously, give a really heartfelt story, and yet do something really cool. But I chose the actor Ansel from Baby Driver. I felt that he played such a great character that I felt like his performance in Baby Driver was perfect, because at first you think he's just the best driver out there, but then you realize as the movie progresses that he's doing it for a reason. And Fantastic Four, I think you can really kind of play around with those emotions a little bit, and have a similar performance that would really make Johnny Storm really come to life. And I think he just emulates that. And so I think that he would be a great choice for that as well. So that's why I chose Ansel. Can't remember his last name. Photo will probably be up in the post.
Elgort.
So how do you pronounce it?
Ansel Elgort.
Elgort. There you go. I think he would be good. Or the lead actor, Taron Egerton. I think he would be also a great choice for Johnny Storm. But again, it's the simple matter is that I think that character, and I'm not choosing these actors just so he would just be wiped off. I'm choosing these actors because they would give a memorable performance to make you go, man, I would have loved to have seen more Johnny Storms. And I'm okay with not getting it, but I would love just to see someone play the character to the original comic book experience that we want, and then off the character, but still give a lasting performance that is super memorable. Even if the first movie is where he dies at the end, if that happens, I think that would be great. Then that way we get a good solid Johnny Storm run. He gets his one movie's justice, and then we get the Future Foundation, which is perfect because they have a rotating roster of different Fantastic Four members that come in and out, and I think that would be fun.
I agree. I think that storyline would be really cool. And then it's like every time there's a new FF movie, you're like, okay, who's going to be the new fourth person?
Yeah.
Because it could always change. That's great. Follow-up question for you then. Would you, after Johnny is dead in your ideal Fantastic Four series, would you throw in a Herbie?
No, because Herbie is too campy. He's a camp. I would do a nod. I would do a nod to Herbie, like maybe have him like dismantled in the background or something. But I don't think I would have a Herbie in there. And I saw what you were doing there. Yeah. And here's the thing, is that Fantastic Four, like if you ever watch Rick and Morty, the more serious episodes of Rick, that is what Reed Richards is supposed to be like.
Yes.
And that's the Reed Richards we need to see. And in Future Foundation, I'm starting to slowly put bits and pieces together. In Future Foundation, Johnny Storm warns them about the end of the world, and there's no way to prevent it. And so that's what sets off the Future Foundation. and they try to figure out what the problem is and solve it. So I had to go with that. So we're into the Fantastic Four. Let's just deep dive.
Yeah, let's dive into it. That's a good idea. Emily Bet Rickards, if you're listening, feel free to call me. Feel free to call me, please.
So this extra long episode of Infinity Rewatch will continue tomorrow. You'll be able to listen to part 2. Until then, have a marvelous day.